Welcome back to Projects Gaming. My name is Cal. Today we're going to be looking at the Soeyi V900. It's a mATX case and it's got the frameless design that's really popular nowadays. And the kicker here is you can get this at $89 RMB, which is about $12 to $13 US, which is an incredible steal. But before we start, please subscribe, like, hit the bell notification, and leave us a comment. And if you're in the market for a gaming mouse, please check out our Projects Gaming Sleeper. Every mouse that you purchase helps with the channel. And let's get to it. Okay, first off, we're going to look at the case itself and see what it comes with. At the top, you get a dust filter, magnetic dust filter, and then we look at the front I/O. We get a power button, we have a light switch, I believe, and then we have audio, USB Gen 2, and then USB Gen 3. It's a dual chamber, so all your hardware is here, and then you can hide all the cables in the back. And at this price point, you're going to get plastic thumb screws, and when you're looking at the inside, you see cutouts, but there's no rubberized grommets at this price point. At this price point either. And yeah, that's about it. Let's get to building it. All right, so in my hands, I have the back panel, and you can have a look at the thickness of the material. And I think it's acceptable at this price point. It does have a little bit of flex, but this is a mATX case, and then you're not going to be moving around anyways. You're going to leave it in the corner, so it should be fine. Let's look at the compatibility for, I guess, cooling. You can run a 240 AIO on the top, or you can have two 140mm case fans. You can run a 120 at the rear, and then you can also run two case fans on the bottom. And for the motherboard, you can run mATX and ITX. And let's look on the back. Oh, sorry, I missed out. You also have two more case fans right here. This is also 120. And then on the back, this is where the PSU will sit. And you can run HDD up here. And then you can also fit two more SSD down here. So looking at the cutouts, this is what you're gonna get. No rubber borders on them. Pretty generous on the top, but you only get one here, so you have to think it through, because once you put the motherboard on top, it's going to be a little bit hard to access, as well as the bottom. There's only two, so again, you got to do some planning and think it through before putting on the motherboard. So for the parts, we're going to be using some recycle pieces from our last build. So we have the motherboard, the B760M A Wi-Fi from ASUS, and then we have the i5 chip. And then we have T-Force RAM. We're going to be using a 3060 graphic card from Gigabyte. For the PSU, we're going to be using Acer fully modular power supply. It's 80 plus bronze. This is a 650 watts power supply. For the AIO, we're going to be using Acer emachines 240 in white. It's got a display in the pump. And I took the liberty of installing the fans onto the radiator off screen. So here are the case fans that we're going to be using. These are 120mm and they're called 1236. So before we actually do anything, we gotta do a little bit of prep work, because once we put the motherboard in, some of these holes is going to get blocked up. So first off, we gotta route the front AI cables through here at the bottom, and then we run this is Gen 3, route it through here first. Otherwise, if we put the motherboard on, this won't fit through. Next up, I daisy chained some of the case fans. The reason I did this is because I can put this down, and then I can route this cable through here, so that's more tidy. Otherwise, if I didn't do that and I put the motherboard first, and then I put the fans in, then I would probably have to route the cable through over here on this side, which would be a little bit, I guess, not as aesthetically pleasing. So there's two things that can make your build a bit easier. Is one, you can actually remove the front tempered glass. I decided not to because there's so many screws involved. And the second thing is you can remove this on the back to make it a little more easier to access. Next up, we're going to be dropping the motherboard in. I decided to install some of the power cables first, just so it's a little bit easier to route. And in this particular build, and for this particular case, you don't have to actually put the back plate on just yet because there's a huge cutout here. So off camera, I actually went ahead and actually plugged some of the stuff in. So we did the audio here, the USB Gen 2, and then the power switch, as well as now we're going to be doing the Gen 3. It's a tight squeeze over here, but it's still manageable. Here I have the 240 AIO from Acer. That's the name I was given. And these are installed off camera, so you have to install this yourself, and the way you connect it is via this. Something to take note, the pump itself has a display, but it's directional. So when you're mounting it, you gotta make sure it's facing the correct orientation, otherwise you're gonna have a display that's either upside down or in a different direction. For the GPU, you're gonna have to manually push these out. The slots at this price point, totally reasonable. Wrapping up the video, here are my final thoughts about the case. In terms of the exterior panel fitment, I've definitely seen better. This case wasn't sent over to us, we bought it ourselves, so maybe we got unlucky with the quality control. Personally, at this price point, I can overlook it because once you're done building it, it's going to be sitting in the corner and you're not going to notice it. To each their own on whether it is acceptable or not. If you are running a mATX motherboard, I recommend you plan out your cables and even routing them beforehand, as the cutouts on the bottom and the right are hard to get to once the motherboard is secured. Personally, I think there should be more cable cutouts on the bottom and on the right hand side. Having more space between the back side of the motherboard and the panel it is attached to would make it a lot easier to cable route, but it's not a deal breaker. The biggest selling point of this case is the price and getting the frameless look that is very popular right now. The case fans being tucked up behind the motherboard makes the blueprint of this case feel significantly smaller. Let's talk about the cooler. First time using an Acer AIO, it gets the job done. My only gripe is it's directional, so you have to run the hose on the right hand side. I didn't know this until turning it on, only to realize the readout was upside down. So what's the final verdict on this case? I think you should check it out if you are on a budget. And that's it for this video. Oh, one more thing. We're also on Twitter now, so do give us a follow and we'll see you guys in the next one.